So let's just start with some invocation prayers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So on this wonderful day of Mother's Day, let's see what our scriptures talk about the position of mother, the duties and the responsibilities, and what we can learn on this day. There's a very interesting quote by Srila Prabhupada where he says that the love a mother has for her child is the closest one can get to selfless love of God in the material world. Right? So the role that a mother plays in our life is very pivotal, starting from being the first teacher and guide in our life, to countless sacrifices that she makes to make us who we are. So usually, this concept of Mother's Day is not something which is part of our own culture, but yeah, at least one day somewhere, somebody is expressing gratitude. So that is the mood. Before even I proceed, I'm reminded of two quotes by Chanakya Pandit with respect to mother, which is so important to remember. The first thing that Chanakya Pandit mentions is the definition of a Pandita, or the definition of a learned man. So there he says, Paradrabhyesu lostravat. What is the first line? Panduranga, do you remember? Matruvat paradareshu paradrabhyesu lostravat atmavat sarva bhuteshu yapasyati sapandita. So matruvat paradareshu, to consider others' wives as mother, to consider anybody other than one's own wife as mother. Matruvat paradareshu. That's how, in ISKCON we have this culture of addressing every other woman as Mataji. Of course, we probably, we have to get into the essence and the meaning of it. And when we are addressing, it's addressing as one's own mother. So Matruvat paradareshu, lostravat paradravyeshu. Seeing others' possession, money, and other material things, one should consider them to be like garbage. Matruvat paradareshu, lostravat paradravyeshu, atmavat sarva bhuteshu. And to consider every living entity as oneself when we are treating even a small ant or a small insect like one's own self. Atmavat sarva bhuteshu, yah pasyati sapandita. If one is able to see like that, he is considered to be a Pandita, a learned man. And there is another instruction which Chanakya Pandit gives is Rinam Kratva Pita Satru. Who are your enemies? Rinam Kratva Pita Satru, Mata Satru Bevicharani, Putra Satru Apanditaha, Rinam Kratva Pita Satru, Rupavati Bharya Satru, Putra Satru Apanditaha, Mata Satru Bevicharani. There are four kinds of enemies that Chanakya Pandit mentions. Rinam Kratva Pita Satru. If your father has debts and those debts have to be repaid, then he is considered to be an enemy. Rinam Kratva Pita Satru. Mata Satru Bevicharani. If the mother is characterless, if she is not of high moral and ideal character, then she's an enemy for the children. Pita Satru, Rinam Kratva Pita Satru, Mata Satru Bevicharani, Rupavati Bharya Satru. If the wife is very beautiful, then it is considered to be she's considered to be an enemy. I mean, it's basically, it's just not just the wife, or it could be the spouse. Basically, if someone is too beautiful, then a person gets attached to this material world. So in that sense, Chanakya Pandit says, Rupavati Bharya Satru Putra Satru Apandita. If you have got a son and the son is Apandita, he's not a learned person. He's not a good student, then he's also an enemy for the family. Anyway, these are some of the instructions of Chanakya Pandit, who talks from the moral point of view. But in our lives, wherever we are, on this day that we are talking about Mother's Day, let's just recap some of these incidents, which probably I was just trying to find something which can strike a chord, and with a lot of not with a lot of difficulties, but with some amount of search, I could find some things which probably will strike a chord with all of you. Is this video where some of us can remember in our own lives how probably we would have experienced those or seen something similar to this. So let's just see this. Wow. So I'm watching YouTube. Yeah, put it on YouTube. Is my YouTube is visible?
So gradually coming. We just see a black screen right now. There was some audio that came.
I should have taken.
Proud sponsor of moms.
Well, that's a video from the Rio Olympics. It captures the sense quite well. So there was another small video also, but somehow I don't know if it will play or not.
माँ, हाँ, सब याद है ना? माँ, सब याद है?
हाँ,
चलो मैं निकल रही हूँ।
बाय।
बाय। कुछ चीज़ों की शुरुआत हमेशा याद रहती है, जैसे स्कूल का पहला दिन। कपड़े, बैग, टिफिन सब नया था। माँ ने हर बात का ख्याल रखा था। गेट पर 2 मिनट रुककर मुझको हर हिदायत दोहराई, गुड मॉर्निंग मैम से लेकर टिफिन के नैपकिन तक। पर मुझे सिर्फ एक बात याद रही, मैं पहली बार माँ से अलग हो रही थी। मैं गेट की इस तरफ और माँ उस तरफ। सिर्फ 3 घंटे की बात है। यही कहकर मुझे पहले दिन स्कूल भेजा था, पर शायद वो 3 घंटे मुझसे ज्यादा उनके लिए मुश्किल थे। वो मेरी स्कूल की शुरुआत थी, और आज माँ के स्कूल की शुरुआत है।
Anyway, these are some videos. So there is sound that you're hearing. I'm hearing some buzzing noise. Anybody? Can you? Still there? Yeah, now it is gone. So I mean, the position of a mother in one's life cannot be replaced, right? There is no way that one can find a substitute for one's mother. Kind of sacrifices, the kind of austerities that she takes so that the children grow up and become something in life. It's just immense. The history of Mother's Day, I was doing some research and found that this former president by name Woodrow Wilson introduced this in the year 1914. Of course, in different countries, they celebrate it on different days, but the most popular one is the second Sunday of the month May. That's what is today. And we're talking about Mother's Day. But talking about Mother's Day and talking about mothers, our scriptures talk about not just our biological mother, but talk about 7 kinds of mothers. Atma Mata, Guru Patni, Brahmani, Rajapatnika, Dhenur Dhatri Tatha Prithvi, Saptaita Matarah Smritaha. This Prabhupada quotes in Bhagavatam in this purport, 7.12.8. What that means is, these mothers are the original mother, the wife of the teacher or spiritual master, the wife of a Brahmana, the king's wife, the cow, the nurse, and the earth. Biological mother, actually, Bhagavatam 3rd canto, if you see, there's a very graphical description of how the child grows in the womb of a mother, what all stages it goes through before it takes birth. So carrying the baby for 9 months in the womb of a mother, which is one of the, that's why they call that mother's debt cannot be repaid. The mother goes through so much of pain, and then the baby comes out. This is the picture that I have over here is of King Solomon. This is a story from Bible where there were two women who were fighting or who were saying that this is my baby. King Solomon was supposed to be a very wise king and was known for his good counsel and judgment. So when they both were fighting, saying this is my baby, and they were not able to come to any conclusion, King Solomon ordered, okay, let's do one thing. Let's tear the baby in half and give it half-half. And that way this matter can be solved. So there is one lady who screamed, saying that, no, please don't do this. You can give it to her. So King Solomon told that this is the real mother. So there is a lot of very interesting information available in Srimad Bhagavatam as to how a child grows in the womb of a mother and what all he goes through. You can see that. But apart from biological mother, there is Mother Earth who supplies all our necessities. It's not just, so that's why our scriptures are talking about 7 different kinds of mothers. Mother Earth gives us all the necessities that we have. And also like a mother who sometimes punishes the children for wrongdoing. If somebody tampers with the laws of nature, then Mother Earth punishes like a loving mother to her children in the form of some difficulties and calamities. And when Mother Earth gets overburdened, not by the number of population or number of people in the world, but by the sinful activities, then she goes to Krishna, she goes to Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, she goes to Brahma first, and then goes to Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and prays to remove the burden on her. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chaduskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yudhe. And that's how Krishna takes birth. There are also wonderful descriptions in Bhagavatam where Krishna, when he was about to leave, Mother Earth is very sad. Because even though Krishna, traveled from different places like Goloka, like Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwaraka, and so many places, Kurukshetra, but he still was present on Mother Earth. But when he is about to leave, Mother Earth was very sad, and how she feels morose and prays not to leave. Those kind of things are there in Bhagavatam. Also, there is a mention of Prithu, King Prithu, who was very pious. When a pious king, when a righteous king, when a religious king rules the world, then all the necessities are given by Mother Earth. Actually, she has the capability to give based on people who are living, how religious and how righteous they are, how they are following the scriptural injunctions based on that. So when people become sinful, or when they reject the injunctions of the scriptures, she withholds those facilities. That's also mentioned in the episode of Prithu, King Prithu. There is the wives of Brahmana. There's this famous pastime in Krishna book where it is mentioned about the Yajnik Brahmanas and their wives. The Brahmanas were busy performing the rituals for Vishnu to satisfy Vishnu, and they were so busy, caught up with the rituals, that they didn't even realize that the story is like, Krishna and Balaram, they were in the forest and they were hungry, and Krishna actually told those cowherd boys that you go, that there's a nearby place where this Brahmanas are performing sacrifices. You tell them that Balaram has sent us, and we want some food. But of course, and if you say Krishna, they'll not give, but the boys go and they tell that, it is Krishna who has sent us and we want some prasadam, some food. And Yajnik Brahmanas were too busy performing the rituals. They didn't realize the position of Krishna, and this the Dvijapatnis, the wives of these Brahmanas, without caring for social custom, tradition, realizing that Krishna is present, took all this food which was prepared for sacrifice for Krishna, and Krishna was very pleased. But at the end of that, Krishna asked them to go back, and they say, "How is it that we'll go back now? Or husbands will not allow us to come inside." But Krishna says, "Don't worry, I'm the super soul in their heart as well, and nothing will happen." They go back. But it talks about, the wives of Brahmana being also mother. The wife of a king. Wife of a king is also considered to be mother, and this example of Sita Devi, Mother Sita, being the wife of Lord Ramachandra, ideal wife, and being also a mother cow. Unfortunate situation. I mean, if you read the 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Prabhupada explains how there's atrocities which are performed against the cow, the modern slaughterhouses where they're slaughtered, we are incurring so much of sins that it is very difficult to repay. So this is, such a miracle creation of the Lord, where she just takes grass and gives this miracle food called the milk, which nourishes our body and makes our intelligence very fine. It makes the tissues very fine to understand this spiritual knowledge. So she is considered to be one of the mothers. Wife of a spiritual master. There is a mention of the wife of Sandipini Muni, who was taking care of Krishna Balaram when they were in the ashram and learning. So the wife of a spiritual master is also considered as good as mother. And nurse, Dhatri, not in the true sense as nurse, but anybody who is taking care of the child is also considered to be a woman. In this context, there is a very interesting episode which all of you know, but it's so important to remember this. The episode is, when the demoness Putana comes as mother hidingly to feed baby Krishna. This verse which comes in Bhagavatam, Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam, Jigham Sayapa Yad Api Asadvi, Lebhe Gatim Dhatri Uchitam Tatoanyam, Kamba Dayalum Saranam Brajema. Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam. Baki is a demoness. She was the sister of Bakasur. Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam. Kala Kutam, the most dangerous kind of poison, was smeared on her breast. Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam Jigham Saya Apayad Api Asadvi. Apayad, she had smeared Jigham, and she was filled with enviousness. She just wanted to kill Asadvi. Asadvi, it's opposite of Sadvi, someone who's not, who's duplicitous, was appearing like a mother but had some evil intentions. Aho Vakiyam Stanakala Kutam, Jigham Sayapa Yad Api Asadvi, Lebhe Gatim Dhatri Uchitam Tatoanyam, Kamba Dayalum Saranam Brajema. Lebhe Gatim Dhatri. Still, Krishna gave her the position of his mother, Dhatri. Lebhe Gatim Dhatri Uchitam Tatoanyam. Krishna didn't see any of the evil intentions that she had. Didn't see that she has come to kill him. Actually, when Krishna sucked the milk from her, he also sucked the life air of Putana. Lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tato anyam kamba dayalum saranam prajema. Who can there be who is more merciful than that Supreme Lord? Somebody who's coming to kill, with all the evil intentions. Krishna overlooks that. He forgives all those things and sees just this one thing, that she came with the intention to feed milk. And because of that, Krishna gives her the position of his mother. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a sea demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful, a sadhvi, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. So that is the position of Krishna. That's what Krishna does. But let me pause here and ask if you know any other mothers other than these 7 mothers that is mentioned, or anywhere you've heard of anything other than these 7 mothers. Nobody? I thought we have a very intelligent audience in our group, but I think okay.
Prabhupada has explained so many times that Krishna is like millions of mother. So
Okay. Yeah, that we will come. Okay, Krishna is millions times mother. Okay. Anything else? Also, if you see, when somebody becomes Dvija, twice born, we say the first birth that one takes is from the biological mother. But Dvija means twice born. The twice born, the second birth that one takes is when he gets initiated. At that time, the scriptures are considered to be our mothers. So scripture is also considered a mother. Also, there's so many other places where it is mentioned, like there is a stepmother. The word mother is used there. And when we talk about stepmother, there are so many examples of different stepmothers. Like there is example of Kaikeyi, which we were talking some time back during Ram Navami festival. There is the example of Suniti and Suruchi in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, and how that one episode became turning point in his life, and when he took that instruction of his mother seriously. But it was only because of his own mother who could show that the instruction has something which is very powerful. So these are some of the other mothers that also is mentioned in Bhagavatam. Anybody knows where is there any place where there is stepmother for Krishna? Is there a mention of the stepmother for Krishna anywhere? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, bro. Yashoda Maya.
Yes, yeah.
Shoda. Okay. Anywhere else?
All the gopis in the village whom he impersonated as their own children for 1 year. So all
right, gopis are also considered to be Krishna's mother. There's another place where Bhagavatam, actually in the first canto itself, it mentions. This is in first canto, 11th chapter, 28th verse. The translation of this goes like this. After entering the house of his father, he was embraced by the mothers present, and the Lord offered his obeisances unto them by placing his head at their feet. The mothers were headed by Devaki. So basically, Vasudev had not just one wife, Devaki, he had 18 wives. And in the purport, Prabhupada is actually mentioning, it appears that Vasudev, the father of Lord Krishna, had completely separate residential quarters where he lived with his 18 wives, out of whom Srimati Devaki is the real mother of Lord Krishna. But in spite of this, all other stepmothers were equally affectionate to him. as will be evident from the following verse. Lord Krishna also did not distinguish his real mother from his stepmothers, and he equally offered his obeisances unto all the wives of Vasudeva present on the occasion. And then Prabhupada goes on to talk about this. So basically, when Krishna goes and meets his own mother and father in Mathura, he also gets to know about his other mothers, and he respects them equally. Okay, now moving on. As somebody was mentioning, this verse in Bhagavad Gita is a very instructive verse, very important verse, where Krishna is telling Pitaham Asya Jagato Mata Dhata Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Rik Sama Yajurevacha. So it's not just Pita, he also mentions Mata Dhata Pitamaha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I'm the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I'm also the Rik, the Sama, and the Yajurvedas. Pitaham Asya Jagato Mata Dhata Pitama. Not just this one place, there is another place where Prabhupada mentions the Lord as mother. We've heard the Lord as father, but the Lord as mother is something very unique, and though not very frequently mentioned, but it is also there. So as we are remembering our own mother on this auspicious day of Mother's Day, it is also important to know that who is giving birth to our mother, where is she coming from, and who is behind this creation. It's actually our supreme, benevolent, loving father or mother, in this case as Krishna. There is a verse which comes in Bhagavad Gita also, which says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyasti na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mai titeshu cha priyaha. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyasti na priyaha. This attitude of Krishna, that he is equal to everyone, he is not partial to anyone, is something which is characterized and exhibited by our own mother. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyasti na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mai titeshu cha priyaha. But when I was thinking of this verse and I was trying to put up the slides, then I suddenly remembered, you might be knowing about this. This is called the runt of the litter. Runt of the litter is if someone is born weak, right? If someone has got some weak bones, then that child or that baby gets more attention by the mother. Similarly, actually, all of us who are born in this Kali Yuga are like the runt of the litter, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy falls on the most fallen. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya, the most merciful incarnation, the Lord, comes and he sees the most fallen, that's all of us, the products of Kali Yuga, and he bestows his merciful glance on us. Moving on. Talking about mother, if we don't mention the real mother of all of ours, then the discussion will be incomplete. And this is a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which says, Ateva Sarva Pujya Parama Devata Sarva Palika Sarva Jagate Ramata. Ateva Sarva Pujya, the most worshipable. Ateva Sarva Pujya Parama Devata, and she is the supreme goddess. Sarva Palika, she's the so Palika is a female. Sarva Palika she's the protectress of all. Sarva Jagate Ramata, and the mother of the entire universe. So Radharani is Parama Devata, the supreme goddess, and she is worshipable for everyone. She is the protectress of all, and she is the mother of the entire universe. So on this Mother's Day, we should remember Radharani, because Radharani is very dear to Krishna. And when we approach Radharani, and if Radharani recommends, then Krishna cannot say no. There is the verse which Jitendra ji, I don't have that right now here, but I have some more very important instructions which Prabhupada has given. I wanted to share. But let me first show that verse which he was mentioning. It's a very important verse. I just put it in time, and it's a very interesting verse to know, because the verse is so instructive in so this verse comes actually in the episode of Dhruva Maharaj, when Dhruva was insulted by his stepmother, when he was not allowed to sit on his father's lap. He goes to his mother, and he was very angry. He wants to take revenge, and he was like, Bhagavatam mentioned, he was hissing like a snake. And he comes, and the transformation that was brought in Dhruva by his mother is extraordinary, is exceptional actually. And this is the crux of today's, that discussion that we are having. The role of a mother is so important, because many a times there will be challenges, and the mothers are more equipped to face the challenges. But if the role of a mother is if she can play the role of a guru, of a guide, of guiding the children well. Exactly, that's what she does here, Mother Suniti. And she says, Tameva Vatsa Shraya Bhritya Vatsalam Mumukshuvir Mridya Padabja Padhatim Ananya Bhave Nijadharma Bhavite Manasi Avasthapya Bhajasva Purusham. So, my dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Person seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service. Actually, Suruchi told Dhruva that even if you are the son of your father, you have not taken birth from my womb. And you should go and pray to the Lord so that you can take birth from my womb, and then you will be able to sit on your father's lap. So this whole, insulting words, if somebody doesn't have the right presence of mind, or is not properly situated, Suniti also could have reacted to such situation and said that, yes, he's like this, and she speaks always like this. Could have told so many things, could have aggravated the situation. It's a fact that King Uttanapada was liking Suruchi more than Suniti. Suniti was just, remaining in some staff quarters. And she acknowledged that what your stepmother has told is true, that your father doesn't like me. And it's unfortunate that you have taken birth from me. But you see, the point which she catches from those words spoken by Suruchi is that you should pray to Vishnu to take birth from my womb. So here she is telling, my dear boy, you should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Person seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service. When we were talking about the qualities of a mother and the sacrifices that she goes through in her life, how loving it is, and Prabhupada is mentioning in the beginning, as I said, that quote that the love of a mother is unconditional, probably the highest that we can experience in this material world. But very interestingly, in this purport, actually Prabhupada is writing, he is giving a commentary to the word Bhritya Vatsala. In this connection, Queen Suniti advised her son that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhritya Vatsala, which indicates that he is very kind to his devotees. Who is very kind to his devotees? The Lord. Bhritya Vatsala. It's a very, very beautiful word. The word is Vatsala. He is very, very kind to his devotees. So he said, you came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. But Krishna is so kind to his devotees that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender dealings. There are two words which are used by Prabhupada here. One is called affectionate and tender. Actually, the Lord is more affectionate, more tender than any mother. Millions of mothers put together, here it is mentioned. He is eagerly waiting for us to come out of this material world and not suffer here. Very, very kind. That's how he sends his devotees. He comes, he leaves behind these instructions. He's waiting for us to turn towards him. You came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. Krishna is so kind to his devotees that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender dealings. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotee. So on this on this Mother's Day, when we are thinking of expressing our gratitude to our mother, when we are remembering the qualities of our mother, it is also important to remember our Supreme Father, Mother Krishna, who's eagerly waiting, who's more affectionate. When nobody else can mitigate the misery, he's waiting, he can do this. And this is what exactly Prabhupada is saying. There is a very interesting instruction that's what I wanted to share. If you want to remember something for today's this thing, where Prabhupada is actually giving this quote that take care of these children. If you can make one child Krishna conscious, it is a great service. Krishna will be very pleased. So every mother who's attending, who's hearing, or who's going to hear, or who wants to know, or we want to share, actually this is the responsibility of a Grihastha. Take care of these children. If you can make one child Krishna conscious, it's a great service. Krishna will be very pleased. Krishna will be pleased with this service. This is what Prabhupada says. There's a very interesting video that I have, which talks about how sometimes when we are bringing up our children, there is a certain attitude which is required, and that needs to be encouraged also. So let's see this video.
क्या जरूरत थी छोरे से इतना गुस्सा करने की? जरा सी बात तो थी। ₹10 के लिए छोरे ने भूखा मारेगी क्या?
ऐसा क्या कर दिया इसने जो प्लेट उठा के ले जा रही है?
10 रुपए तो लिए थे तेरे पर्स से, कोई पड़ोस से तो न लाया था।
मेरे पैसे लिए थे इसने, तेरे बाप के नहीं।
छोटे घर की है ना।
तेरी माँ ने कुछ तुझे सिखाया नहीं है?
जान दे, ये तो तुझे खाना देगी ना, तू मेरी प्लेट से खा ले।
तैं अपने खाने की चिंता कर। इसने 10 रुपए लिए ना हैं, चुराए हैं। आज चोरी की है, कल न जाने क्या करेगा। और अगर मैं इसकी मां की जगह होता ना, तो 2 दिन तक इसको खाना नहीं देता। बहू, ठीक किया है तूने। खा ले।
So I thought this message was very nice, very clear. Sometimes mother needs to have that fitness, and if it is not exhibited in the right time, then there is some buzzing noise. You here, or am I the only one who's here?
No trouble, it's audible.
So it needs some support, not just she herself has to be strict. But as Prabhupada is saying, if somebody can make the children as Krishna conscious, that's the greatest service. That's probably the greatest responsibility. So on this day, let's remember our biological mother. Let's remember the contributions made by her. Let's understand the expectations that the scriptures have to be a mother. Let's also remember the position of the Lord. Let's also remember that the relationship that we have with our mother is for this lifetime, but then the relationship with the Lord is eternal. And if we can establish that relationship, then that's the success of human life. So on this day, there are so many videos you can play, and there are so many videos which are available also. But if we can express our gratitude to our mother, because that place is vacant, and if you have not done, do so. Today is Mother's Day. No better day than today. You can just call and tell her thank you for everything. Interestingly, we had one activity where I got a lot of these things, some WhatsApp forwards. This I liked. We've hired a few people to fill in for you while you relax on Mother's Day. So that many people are required. Interestingly, we had this activity which I had shared with all of you, that you can seek the blessings of your mother on Mother's Day from Radha Krishna Chandra. Unfortunately, we live in a world where we are so busy, we are so caught up, we don't even see, we don't even care, as if these messages are meant for somebody else. Maybe not for me, for someone else to see, or I don't know if we see and ignore, but whatever it is, there are some of you who actually did send your the names of your mother and the prayers, and I have a small video to share, as to what we did based on that. Let me just share the video. Can you see my video?
Yes, Prabhuji.
राधा कृष्णचंद्र प्रीत्यर्थम कृपाकटाक्षप्रीत्यर्थम अस्य यजमानस्य गीतारानी नाम्नीय हरीश कुमार नामधेयस्य ग्रीष्मा हरे पद ग्रीष्मा नामधेयं ओजस् नामधेयस्य ललिता वर्मा नामधेयं कृतिका वर्मा नामधेयं लीना नामधेयं संचिता बासु नामधेयं भास्कर लक्ष्मी नामधेयस्य श्रीविद्या नामधेयं लक्ष्मी नामधेयं सुनीता नामधेयं नीलं नामधेयस्य अंकित सोनी नामधेयस्य सहकुटुम्बस्य परिवारस्य क्षेमास्थैर्य विजया वीर्य आयुः आरोग्य ऐश्वर्याभिवृद्ध्यर्थं सर्वदोषनिवारणार्थं श्रीराधाकृष्णभक्तिप्राप्तं श्रीराधाकृष्णचिन्त दिव्यनामष्टोत्तर शतपुष्पार्चनपुष्पाञ्जलि पूजां सेवां करिष्ये।
So that's all that we have for Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all who could join and who could remember your mother. And better luck for those who could not. That's all. Any questions, anything, any comments, anything else?
Prabhu, I have a general comment about how to raise Krishna conscious children in this current pace of life we are all leading. It is very not easy. There's such a very different atmosphere everywhere, especially here. So it is just my thought. It's very difficult when everyone else around is not like that, especially in schools or colleges. The children find it very difficult to sustain. The practices at home and outside are completely different. So as a parent, it's very, very hard to to keep the children motivated. So any some thoughts on it and not today, maybe some other class or something, it'll be helpful. As long as they're young, it's all easy. But once you're getting to college or teenage, even teenagers, it depends on each child. But once the child is getting ready to leave home, for college. The challenges are huge for a Krishna conscious child. Come Ekadashi, onion ka sattvic food. That's the time when you have more faith in Prabhupada and say, okay, Prabhupada will find a way for your child. When they're, for us, especially when Mukund is just so close to being, not so close, he still has 4 years to leave home. But still, it is not easy. Where is he going? Which college is going to give him onion garlic free food?
You see, the situation for Suniti was not that she was having all the resources in her disposal, or she was having everything in her control. She was not treated well. She was living in a staff quarters. And I mean, I would say our situation is not that bad as her, but still she could give that Krishna consciousness to Dhruva. Sometimes we see what we don't have and we forget to see what we have.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are challenges. Kali Yuga is progressing and we are in this time where things are not easy, but it is not impossible. So the parents have a very big role to play, but after your best effort and endeavor, you still don't have full control as to what will happen. That's okay, but at least the effort and the intelligence required to make one child Krishna conscious should be used by the parents. It's not like one formula that you just do this and your children will be Krishna conscious.
Yeah.
But that intelligence is required to give them the understanding of the value of Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Prabhupada is saying, that take care of these children. If one child becomes Krishna conscious, that's the greatest service. That's the responsibility of every parent.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Okay, nothing else. We'll stop here. Request everyone to come in front of your camera and raise your hands. We will chant once Hare Krishna Mahamantra and stop. Good to see Avi and others. Kritika Mataji, Shyamji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all for joining and happy Mother's Day to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.